All right, everybody. Little bit of a screw up there. Actually, a lot of bit of a screw up. So,
all right, everybody.
Whoa. That means we definitely need to make sure that we got doubles here. Didn't remember to do that. So again, welcome. You know what they talk about for premieres. This is like a soft opening, but this is the premiere of the Firing a Broadsides cast with Captain Jack. I also figured out that some of the things that I wanted to do, and if you were here a couple minutes ago, an extensive amount of feedback where it was like, how that echoing in the microphone, horrible. So best laid plans gone to waste. Some of the graphics that were going to be used are definitely not going to be able to be seen tonight because we're going to have to work with this, which is okay. It's okay. It's better than having nothing, but I definitely wanted to make sure to welcome everybody over to the show. I'm going to be doing this, and I've been wanting to do a real honest to goodness Raiders podcast for a while. And I do my shows on during the week for the Raiders and everything else. What the hell is that on my hat? I definitely, if there are folks that want to come in and join me and be like, guest podcasters, we might be able to open up. I got the graphics ready for them already. So we got that. I wanted to give anybody who's watching a shout out. I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you working with the glitches so far. If you heard the other show, boy, I can't wait to get rid of it on YouTube because it was definitely a earful. I don't know if it went out. If it did, trust me, it will be gotten rid of. But again, tonight's show, the premiere of Captain Jack's Firing a Broadsides. And what I've wanted to do for a while, and I used to do it 2 years ago when I had the Coast to Coast Raider Nation podcast where I did with Angria Trask and some other guy. And I enjoyed it because we would talk Raiders football for about an hour or so. We would talk about the game that just transpired, and we would, go ahead and look at the game that was upcoming. And I still want to try to do that with us this time as well. But we're going to be feeling this out, and at least I'm glad that I got the one graphic to work. Although you're gonna be looking at me on my screen. I might have to go over to OBS, but you know what? That's okay. We're going to get this worked out. The big thing is that we're going to be talking Raider football. And when I say talking, it's going to be unlike my other shows where I open it up for the viewers. This is if you want to participate, please come in and comment. And we can do that. I see that Don Webb's here. Thank you, Don. Don's a very loyal person. And Ed Winchell is also here. Ed is a very loyal person. I appreciate all the folks that come over and have been loyal to me on what we've been doing for a long time. And it means a lot to me. And again, we'll get through this one tonight. Hollywood is another loyal person. And I love the fact that loyalty is there. And like I said, we'll talk Raiders. And I had my notes today. You ever have one of those really bad days? It wasn't a really bad day, but you went personal aside. I know I do this a lot, and it's probably what makes me Captain Jack. And like Captain Jack gives you a little bit of a glimpse into what was going on with him. Asylum's definitely loyal, and Becky Gutzler is definitely loyal. So again, thank you for being here. As I was working on the show tonight and had an issue with the washer. So I had to stop my show prep and get some things going on. Willie, thank you for being here as well. Hippie couldn't play, let the IR. I love the comments over there. That's going to be going on all night. And we'll definitely be getting to that when we do the call-in show later. Getting back to the washer messed up. And I have that insurance plan where you call in and say, hey, I got a problem, and you're supposed to come in and they'll get a tech out there and you'll get your appliances fixed. Oh no, not today. So I find out that my washer and dryer are not covered. And I'm pissed because I paid for that in my mind with my coverage. Well, lo and behold, it's now 5 o'clock and I'm talking with the lady, and washer's not going to get fixed. And I need to get back to my prep. I actually do after this show and after my next show. I'll have to actually look online because I haven't bought a new washer or dryer for 20 years. And 20 years, that's a good, what's the word I'm looking for? Having a washer and dryer for 20 years, it's definitely paid its way. So it looks like I might be looking to get a new washer and dryer for the house. So again, just an aside, I had that going on, and then other folks popped me in and said other things were going on. So I was a little bit off the mark today. Yeah, I know, Becky. They definitely don't make them like that anymore. My God, $700? Oh, that's cheap. That's cheap. I figure it's probably going to cost me about $2,000 because the dryer needs to be a gas dryer because we have gas. But let's get into the show. All that aside, and again, thank you for being here. I have on my StreamYard broadcast, so I need to see a little bit about what's going on with the YouTube look. Okay, see how many people are there? 7. There's 7 watching. Okay, I can look at that. But we are going to talk about Raiders Broncos this weekend. And I know you've probably gotten some of the information from other shows, but I wanted to make sure that if there's something that I can give you, I'm definitely going to give you, because I've been a long time fan, and there's things that are coming out. And I appreciate you guys chiming in as well. Apparently, Corey Littleton has COVID. That's one thing I didn't get a chance to do, is hit the injury reports. 1,400 at Home Depot. Okay, thanks, Don. I'll take a look at that. Jason Dean, thanks for being here as well. Raiders Broncos. Raiders lead the series of 65 wins, 54 losses, and 2 ties. And I wanted to get another stat at you as well. This is what I call the interesting stat of the day. Nelson Agholor, leading the NFL with 20.4 yards per reception, averaging last year 9.3 yards a reception. And again, that doesn't surprise me because the kid was a dynamo in college. The Eagles drafted him high, either first or second round. I know he was, no lower than a second round for Nelson Agholor, and the kid had the drops. But as you guys know, sometimes the Raiders are that team that when you go to them, your career picks up. Lyle Alzado, good example. Lyle came into the league with Denver, ended up coming over to us and got a Super Bowl championship. John Matuszak, in fact, actually, I take it back. Lyle came in the league with Cleveland, went from Cleveland to Denver, and then to the Raiders for his championship. John Matuszak, drafted by the Oilers, found his way around, comes to the Raiders, gets his Super Bowl championship. So again, the Raiders can be that respite spot of bringing athletes back to their diamond status that they were looked upon. Now, is Nelson Agholor this year's version of, and I hate using his name, Michael Crabtree. When the Raiders last made a push for the playoffs in 2016, who was Derek Carr thrown to? A trusted wide receiver wearing number 15. And actually, I got a Crabtree jersey over there. I bought it cheap. It's not mounted. But whatever works. Because actually, there's been some conjecture that's saying that John Gruden, when it was on a conference call, was talking about this year's draft. And he's like, he really doesn't remember who we were drafting or who we drafted this year. It's because that they really haven't made much of an impact. Ruggs has been hurt a lot. Edwards has been hurt a lot. Tanner Muse was put on the IR. These were some of the big names that are supposed to help us out. Arnett, first rounder, second rounder, hurt a lot. Had a third round pick that we didn't even have in our camp long enough that we pushed him off to Miami. So you can understand some of the consternation in John Gruden's messages there. But the Raiders, halfway through the season, are sitting at 5-3. I picked them at 10-6. And if they continue that ascension, there's no reason why that they can't get there, if not better. Yes, Arnett as well. Thanks there, Jason. It's good seeing Jason as well. Raiders currently are the number 2 wild card based on conference win percentage. Number 3 right now, Miami. And again, it's very important to know that obviously the Raiders have a head-to-head coming up in December. I believe it's around Christmas time with Miami at Vegas. Also, Indianapolis is, I would say there's 6, 7. Indianapolis is 9 behind Cleveland. So if it came down to head-to-head, obviously the Raiders would have the head-to-head against Cleveland. So if it came down to that, then they would be in over Cleveland. But again, remember, the Raiders are in right now because of conference record. So we really, really need to take all of these games that they have coming up, and we'll go over some of those as well. And hey, no worries, Jason. And I can't wait to see you in Atlanta. Although the way that the situation with COVID is nowadays, man, if I'm in Atlanta and if I'm like this, you understand why. I'm kind of scared. Hot Neil, good to see you as well. Hot Neil, no calls tonight. No calls on this show. It's pure me. Team offense for the Raiders, they're ranked 14th, averaging 27.3 points per game. That actually has gone down because they used to be popping at about a 30 clip. Okay. So that's gone down a little bit, probably because of the game, actually the last 2 games against Cleveland and against Los Angeles. That scoring was down considerably, but the defense has been playing a lot better. You wouldn't know it by the rankings. We'll get to that in a minute. Denver is ranked 28th in the league, scoring 21.8 points per game. So I like that right in that portion. Raiders scoring about 27. Broncos scoring, call it 22. That's good. The thing that you have to look at is that the team defense Raiders are ranked 30th. That is horrendous. And we've been banging the drum all season long about how bad that Raiders defense is. They had a great game in Cleveland overall. Great game. And they had just enough last week, beating the Chargers and keeping them out of the end zone when it counted, stopping them on that 2-point conversion. And, of course, the special teams with that turnover of the punt where the Raiders went up 5 after the field goal. Again, special teams and defense came through last week when it needed to. And we only have to go back to last year to know that these games are highly contested and that they're going to be tough. Just like last year, the Raiders got a game at the end of the season in Denver when it's cold. Going back to last year, though, we split with them last year. But do you remember the last game of last season? Denver wins controversially. And again, I would, if there was somebody else here who said that it's just me being a paranoid old man. But no. 2 touchdowns were taken away from the Raiders offense. 2. And we lost when we went for it for the win, the 2-point conversion. You kicked the field goal. It was either a 1-point or 2-point. I can't remember if we were going for the win. I think we were going for the win. And yeah, if you would have kicked the ball, it would have been a tie. I'm pretty sure that's the way it was. But Shelby Harris, who started his career as a Raider, got his paws in front of the car pass. That point could have been good. We could have won the game. C'est la vie. But again, taking those 2 touchdowns away on replay, you saw the ball cross the goal line. Do you guys remember that, guys and gals, mates and wenches? Because I certainly do. So what happens? The Raiders lose that game. They lost the game against Jacksonville. So instead of being 9-7, maybe 10-6, which I've been saying all year long, we're 7-9. We get that higher draft pick, and that's why we picked up Ruggs. And Ruggs, when he's been on the field, has been a good gamble for everybody. But again, lots of history with the Broncos. In fact, this week, Fansided calls this game a quote-unquote must-win for Denver, as a loss would put them 3 games behind the Raiders in the AFC West. A win gets the Raiders to 6-3 with their upcoming game against the Chiefs. And where are the Chiefs this week? Of course, they're on their NFL-mandated bye week prior to a Raider game. I chuckle when I say that because it practically is a mandated bye week. Because when was the last time you saw the Raiders not play the Chiefs at least one of the games when the Chiefs weren't coming off a bye? Can't remember. Stats for the year as well. Raiders have lost 2 conference games. Denver has lost 3. And both Denver as well as the Vegas Raiders have squeaked by the Chargers in consecutive weeks. So we all know that the 2 passes defense by Isaiah Johnson kept the Chargers from winning the game last week. And the week prior, Denver beat the Chargers on the last play of scrimmage. So again, tough games. I'm not telling you things that you don't already know. Making sure everybody else knows. Again, halfway through the season, 5 of their last 8 are at home. Let me repeat that. 5 of their last 8 are at home. And the Raiders need to take advantage of that. They would be just, my God, I can't even get the word for it if you were to lose a majority of those home games. In fact, only 2 of the last 8 games are going to be in cold weather. New York on the 6th of December. 6th of December. And then that last game in Denver, January 3rd. That's 6 of 8 indoors. You can't beat that with a stick. Valerie, thanks for coming in. Welcome to the show. Again, looking at what we have going on, the composite win-loss for everybody that we're going to be facing in the last 8 games, a 6.66 win percentage, 20 wins and 30 losses. Only the Chiefs at 7-1 and the Dolphins at 5-3 have winning records. And I tell you, like I said, these Broncos, I'll be kind of calling Broncos. They've lost some really tight games this year. I remember the very first game of the year, they lost to the Titans by 2 points in what was one of the best games I've seen to this year. The Titans field goal kicker, he missed what? A couple extra points and several field goals until the very last kick of the game, wins it. Tight game in Denver. Titans win by 2. The Steelers, the week after that, the Broncos played them tight as hell. You guys forget, when you look at their record, you think that, they're a bad team. They are not a bad team. They lost to the Steelers by 5, and that game was in doubt for a long time. Last week, they lost to the Falcons by 7, but they scored 21 points in the fourth quarter to make it a game. They had a tight win against the Jets, who are still winless. And again, folks, I do not want to go into New Jersey and just shit the bed against the Jets. They knocked Sam Darnold out of the game. In fact, that injury is the reason why Joe Flacco is their quarterback in New York. He got knocked out by the Broncos. Against the Patriots, Cam had a horrific game. And again, the Broncos just blitzed his butt. Won that game. Chargers, I said they won on the last play of the game. But a lot of people remember about a Broncos-Raiders affair, and most of the folks that are around nowadays, if you're not too young, you always remember the John Elway versus Raider games. Well, for those that don't know, and again, I can get off on the subject as well, but John Elway was destined to be a Raider. In fact, Al Davis made a call for a trade because John Elway's pick was number 1 to the Baltimore Colts. And the Raiders made a trade plan with the Colts, which included, well, let me see. I think it was Lester Hayes, could have been Jack Tatum. Yeah, I don't think it was Hayes. It was probably Tatum. It could have even been Stabler at the time. 83. It was, let's put it this way. The Raiders gave up higher picks, better players, the Colts. And the Colts were in on it. They said, yeah, let's do this. Pete Rozelle himself nixed that trade. So Elway goes to Denver for Chris Hinton, a tackle, and was it Mark Herman, the quarterback, which is nothing. Nothing. And of course, the rest is history. John Elway eventually does win. But I did bring this up because people forget that even when Elway was there in Denver, he did not have a winning record against the Raiders. The Raiders were 18-15, including a playoff win, which we will get to in a little bit. 18-15. Again, one of those wins was a playoff game. In fact, that playoff game we'll talk about later on, 1994. And while we're talking about Raiders, Broncos, I want to make sure that people know lots of memorable games. And I'm going to start out with the 1977 playoff game, otherwise known as the fumble. Now, a lot of you will automatically think the fumble. You're talking about the tuck rule game. Oh, no. Oh, no. In 1977, the fumble game was Raiders at Denver for the AFC Championship game. Remember, the Raiders were the Super Bowl champions the year prior, having finally won that crown. So they're going back to the AFC Championship game, but because Denver actually had won the division, they go to Denver for the AFC Championship game. The Raiders are down 7-3. I think the third quarter, and Rob Lidle fumbles the ball deep in Raiders territory, around the 1 yard line or so. Jack Tatum just smacked him. Rob Lidle fumbles the ball. It's picked up by a recent addition to the Raiders on their defensive line, the veteran Mike McCoy. Scoops it up at the 5 yard line, and it's trucking his ass downfield. Gets to about the Broncos 40 until he hears all these whistles that they stop the play. Well, McCoy knows it's a fumble. Tatum knows it's a fumble. All the people that are on the field knew it was a fumble. All the players did, except the officials. And instead of keeping Denver out of the end zone, they score a play or so later. So now it's 14-3 Denver in what would have been likely, because McCoy probably would have scored. He's a big boy, but I'm sure that, if you're on the 40 and you're looking and just in front of you, there's really nothing there but field. So what could have been a 10-7 Raiders on top goes to 14-3. 14-point swing. And I'm sure that the Raiders would have gone to back-to-back Super Bowls. Instead, what happens? Denver gets their butts blown out by the Cowgirls in what was actually one of the more unique Super Bowls, in the fact that Craig Morton, who was their quarterback in Denver, was a former Cowboy, was playing his old team. So it was like the backup former quarterback for the Cowboys plays his old team, Roger Staubach, and they just whoop them. I didn't even bother getting the score, but they got boat raced. Trying to see what is it. So again, a fumble. And this was called the fumble. Pete Rozelle received a letter from Mike McCoy, who was basically saying, hey, what the bleep? Pete Rozelle, in his letter to Mike McCoy, stated, and these are quotes, "The problem on some plays, including the one you were involved in, is that the number and size of the players involved make it impossible for officials to see the play properly. They are screened off. I saw a total of 6 camera views of the Lidle fumble play, the 2 views that TV had, 3 by NFL Films, and a coaching film. Only 2 of the 6. The replay shown on TV and one of the NFL Films angles showed the ball sliding down the front of Lidle when he was hit." Again, this is the 1977 championship game, and it was such an uproar because, again, Coach Madden at the time was so furious. I mean, he knew it was a fumble. Everybody knew it was a fumble. But they got the play wrong. The aftermath of this play was, after that blown call, the next year, the NFL instituted a trial run of instant replay during preseason games in 1978, and you all know what we have with instant replay to date. That call, the Lidle fumble, the McCoy recovery, was the impetus of instant replay. I wanted to make sure that y'all knew about that. One of the other plays that I found very interesting was in 1994, and we talked about 1994 as well. A game in the LA Coliseum. Unique in the fact that it was memorable for a couple of reasons. The first one was that there was a paraglider rolling around the LA Coliseum, and eventually it lands. And It was basically it took off some of the time that they had for the game. There was big security for the event or whatnot. I believe they even stopped the game until that the paraglider landed. And this was like the second paraglider incident that they had that year in 1994. And one of the best quotes of the game was Howie Long, and this is a direct quote: "If there's one stadium you don't want to land in as a parachutist or a paraglider, I think it would be this one. Judging from the way that the parachuter was treated in Vegas, I would magnify the beating tenfold if he were to land in the $15 seats." True. Well said by Howie. And the other reason why I remember this game personally, the 94 game, was that James Trapp, who was a cornerback on the practice squad, who was actually, I believe he was on injured reserve at the time. There was a play that was so radical that he ran out onto the field. He had his civilian clothes on. He ran out onto the field towards the play and was beaten on a Denver Bronco in his uniform. Okay? The guy he was fighting was Denver's Frank Robinson. He was in full pads, and Trapp was just kicking his ass. Well, eventually, he was pulled off. The officials thought he was just some civilian on the sideline. They didn't even give the Raiders a penalty because they figured just some guy, some civilian that was there. They didn't realize it was James Trapp. Thank God, because the very next play, because there was no penalty, Jeff Hostetler throws a 54-yard touchdown pass. And when I say 54-yard touchdown pass, that was all in the air, all gun. James Jett catches it. 42-24 rout of the Broncos ensues. And that was a game. That was a game. Other recent games that I remember as well, 2010 game in Denver. Raiders blew out the Broncos 59-14. I remember they were up like 21-0 with about maybe 7 minutes had gone by in the first quarter and they're up 21-0. It was laughable. I love that game. McFadden, who did most of his damage that day, rushed for 165 yards, scored 3 times, and he didn't even play in the fourth quarter. That was 10 years ago in 2010. More recently, and again, this was the game that I remember personally, was the Sunday night game in prime time. In fact, they just showed the things on Facebook. They had like the NFL NBC crew was doing their pregame for it. I did one of the pregame spots for it. It was at Raider Fan Convention that year, and we were all out there giving them hell. It was great. Primetime game. The Raiders hadn't had a primetime Sunday game in over a decade, and they finally had got that Sunday night primetime game in Oakland, 2016. Tavius Murray ran for 114 yards, 3 touchdowns. Raiders show that they were ready. And they beat the Broncos at the time were the defending Super Bowl champs. They beat them 30-20. And it wasn't even that close. Denver got a little bit more scores at the very end. I remember at that game that, Raiders were in first place in the AFC West at 7-2. Now, granted, they finished at 12-4 in a tie with Kansas City, but because Kansas City beat them twice, that's why KC won the division. I also remember that Marquette King had his little, celebratory, donkey dance or whatever. That was cool. That was back in 2016 as well. But that was the Oakland game. The last game of the season was going to Denver. It was a week after Christmas. Carr had broken his ankle. So who did we start? Matt McGloin, otherwise known as Pat McGroin. Yeah. Well, McGloin was awful, and he actually even himself got injured. So we went to what had been the third-string quarterback, the kid out of Michigan State, Connor Cook. Cook came in for McGloin. Cook started the very next week in Texas against the Houston Texans in the playoff game. The last time the Raiders hit a playoff game, 2016. But remember, the Raiders lost that last game in Denver 24-6. Now, this other game, which I have on here, which was, and we talked about last year's game, but in 2017, I was there. That was the only time I've been to Denver for a Denver-Oakland or Denver Raider game, I should say. Derek Carr suffered a broken back. In fact, let's go. So I had this queued up here. See if I can get it squared away here.
Joseph's DC.
Get this squared away. And for the enjoyment of all, let's go to it. Oh. Well, hopefully it'll go. I hate those little circles of death. Yeah. I wanted to show you the video of Carr actually being injured on the play, but it looks like we're not going to be able to have that right now. So such is life. Apologies there. Best I can do, but can't have it showing on the screen. Let's go escape here. There we go. Get this out of the view screen. There we go. So I tried. I was going to show you the Derek Carr broken back. It was one of those plays. But again, it just goes back to the way that this is a Denver Raider game. It's going to be a tough game. And hopefully we will come out with a victory. And, just my way of saying, I do think that the Raiders will win. I think that it's going to be tight. I think I was hearing that the spread was about, I think it was 5 points. That's a lot. I think the Raiders are going to win, but I think it's going to be a little bit less than 5. Look for that Raider victory this Sunday. I'll have the show after the game. Look for the Ask Captain Jack show. I won't even eat an orange or drink the juice. Good to see you there, Jason. Didn't realize you came aboard there, partner. And again, I want to thank all the people that were here tonight. Let's go back up. Don Webb, Ed Winchell again. Hollywood, thanks for being here. I'll give you a call in a little bit there. Hollywood Asylum and Becky. Willie, I'm good. Good to hear from you as well. So I said Asylum. If I'm missing anybody, Jason Dean, again, good to see you as well. And Hot Neil was also in here. And I think that might have been, no, Valerie, love my Valerie. Good to see her in here as well. And if I missed anybody other than just Jason Goff, no orange crush for Jason Goff. Oh, no worries being late, Jason. I will be doing my regular show in just a little bit. It'll be the You Don't Know Jack About Sports show. So look for that. I'm going to end this broadcast in just a little bit. Thanks for being here again. Apologies for the technical difficulties. Hopefully we'll get this all squared away as we go. Orange is gross. Good talking to you guys. We'll see you for the show in just a little bit. This was the premiere show of Firing a Broadside. I'm going to do some of these Raider casting. Get folks aware. If you don't know some of the stats, we'll see if people like it. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. And we'll see you in just a little bit for the regular Thursday show. Thanks again for being here, folks. We'll see you in just a little bit. You don't know jack about sports. Coming up here, right following here on Captain Jack's YouTube channel. We'll see you in a little bit.